Hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to another live Manchester United news, transfer news, and update show. Some transfer news coming out, some transfer stories coming out, but is it more spin? Is it more names being floated about in an attempt to spin from Ineos over the fact we're doing nothing? Or could Manchester United be making some moves in the transfer window? There is midfield meetings ongoing, but we keep being told for a week there's midfield meetings ongoing with Carrick and Ineos, and they're discussing whether signing a midfielder. Well, you've been saying that for a week, and you've not officially made an offer for any midfielder. You've not officially made a bid for any midfielder. You've not officially agreed anything with any midfielder. But for a week, you've been saying, should we bring in a midfielder? Should we bring in a midfielder? Is this spin? But then Ben Jacobs says, well, the transfer merry-go-round is coming up. It gets a bit interesting. Could there be a deadline day deal? Casado for Rashford swap deal has been offered to Man United. I don't think we will do that, but we'll keep an eye on that. Aleksandar Stankovic has been linked to Manchester United. Now, I watched Club Brugge Marseille. He was incredible Wednesday night versus Marseille. He knocked out Marseille all by himself. He was phenomenal. I have to say, I've not seen a lot of him, but in to do with a buyback clause, United and Tottenham now looking at the midfield. It's a very good progressive passer of the ball as well. Tyrone Malacia could be leaving on loan. Diego Leon could be getting called up with Dorgu's injury. Arsenal tears continue. I mean, they're literally every other tweet from Arsenal is about Amad Diallo. Arsenal fans themselves literally say they only score from set pieces. They joke about it and they get frustrated that they only score from set pieces and the only hope is a corner. When Amad says it, they get offended. It's like, but you were saying your only hope's a corner. But when Amad says it, you start crying, oh, Amad's not playing in the Champions League. Amad's not playing in the Champions League. Amad is earning 100k a week. He's playing for Man United. And you're sitting there tweeting, Amad's not playing in the Champions League. Amad couldn't give two fucks. He could, these Arsenal fans, man, Amad couldn't give two. You know what I mean? But we're here to dive into news. We're here to dive into the stories, all things Manchester United. But there's a lot of talk. There's a lot of names. There's a lot of names being thrown about. But it is getting frustrating because is it just spin? Is it just spin? This name, that name, this name, that name. Is it just spin? You know? Amad rattled them. Amad has actually rattled the Arsenal fan base. And look, if Amad had said something like, Gabriel Saliba thought they're the best defence in the world, but it was easy for us to score 3 and something arrogant, I'd get why Arsenal fans are rattled. He just said your only hope was a corner. They're rattled because Amad stated facts. The thing is, if an Arsenal fan said their only hope was a corner, they'd agree. But because Amad said it, he's a Man United player and he's called out the facts. Because what Amad said is 100% facts that their only hope was a corner, they're rattled. And they're tweeting on a Wednesday night about how they're playing in Champions League and Amad isn't. I don't think Amad gives a crap because you're tweeting on your sofa and Amad is earning 100k a week and he's playing for Man United. So I don't think Amad gives a crap about what you guys, you Arsenal fans tweet. Do you know what I mean? I don't think he gives a crap. He's probably laughing at how much he's rattled them. He's probably laughing at it. But anyway, let's dive into the news. Let's dive into the stories. I want to start by what Ben Jacobs said on the United stand yesterday in regards to the transfer merry-go-round and why that will link to the midfield stories coming out today. Also, my throat's gone, so I do apologise if I'm going to have to keep sipping water and if my voice crackles or I cough. You girls got a cold at the moment. So, Ben Jacobs said this. Meetings took place within the club last week to discuss the January window and assess whether any late opportunities could emerge, and a signing this month has not been ruled out. Man United said they're not ruling out signing a player this month. Okay, they probably won't sign a player this month, but they keep reminding us they're not ruling it out. I think it's spin, I think it's distraction. Carrick's won 2 games, Amarin's been sacked. It's distracted us through January when we should be signing a midfielder. We're in the top 4. 5th place, as of now, unless literally every English club loses their next game in the knockout stage, 5th place is basically guaranteed. We need 2 English clubs to progress in the knockout stage, and out of the 8 English clubs in the knockout stage in the European competitions, and 5th place will 100% be a Premier League spot for the Champions League. So top 5 gets the Champions League football. We're competing with Chelsea, we're competing with Liverpool for that. Okay? Chelsea, Liverpool were miles ahead of us last season. We have 1 game a week, they have 2. A midfielder could be the difference between us getting Champions League and us not getting Champions League. That could be the difference. And that's the one thing that worries me. But Man United keep making up excuses. Now, look, I don't want Loftus-Cheek for the sake of it. I'd rather not sign Loftus-Cheek, but I would like someone half decent to be looked at. It was said this is typically the period when a transfer merry-go-round begins, and value opportunities can suddenly appear. Man United remain alert, but if no deals are completed, it will reflect the club's decision not to panic buy. I'd rather United do nothing than sign a Loftus-Cheek. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather us do nothing than sign a Loftus-Cheek, but I'd rather us try and do something than do nothing and say we wanted to avoid a panic deal. Because I don't think João Gomez is a panic deal. I don't think Mark Casado is a panic deal. I don't think Stankovic is a panic deal. Panic deals are Ruben Loftus-Cheek, McKennie. You could argue Conor Gallagher's a panic deal. I don't think João Gomez would be a panic deal. Do you know what I mean? Try and get Baleba early. What's the hurt in trying? So basically, the final 2-3 days of the window, the transfer merry-go-round begins, where clubs kind of get a bit desperate, and they're a bit desperate to sell, and they cave, and it all goes a bit. And if an opportunity emerges, Man United may act upon that. Now, I don't think we'll get João Gomez now, because Wolves have somehow got 50 million for Strand Larson that I don't think he's got a Premier League goal this season. So I think the fact that Wolves have got 50 million for Strand Larson, they're probably not thinking about João Gomez. To be honest, they're probably not thinking about selling him. But I think there was opportunities out there, and we don't seem to want to act on it. I mean, this is the point. And this is the one thing I will say. We've got 15 games in 4 months. We've got 15 games in 4 months. We don't necessarily need anyone. I think, for me, we are a Casemiro injury or injury away from trouble. The thing is, the way I look at it, is if Bruno, Casemiro, and Maino, if that midfield three can play every game from now until the end of the season, I think we're okay. I think we're okay if that midfield three can play every game till the end of the season. The problem is if Casemiro gets an injury, we're in trouble. And there's no backup there. And I think that's the risk that United are going to take. I think if we don't get injuries and we've got 15 games in 4 months, I think our team could get 5th. I think Fulham is the biggest test. I think the Fulham game will tell me if this team can break down low blocks and if this what this team can do and is expected to dominate possession under Carrick. If we beat Fulham, I believe we will get top 5. Unless a big injury happens to Bruno or Casemiro, I believe we'll get top 5. We haven't got an idiot in goal anymore. We've got much better attackers than Garnacho and Højlund. I believe we'll get top 5. If we get no injuries in midfield and we beat Fulham, I'm convinced that we will. But there is that fear because there's a part of me that's like, we don't have to sign anyone in January because we've only got 15 games in 4 months. And if we bring in someone, we might not play them. If there's no injury to Maino, Casemiro, Bruno, we bring in a midfielder, we might not play them. But on the other hand, I'm like, do we want to take that risk? Is it worth taking that risk? And I think United will just see what happens at Fulham and then maybe do something deadline day. Thank you very much for the super chat. Much appreciated. With the window ending, either this story or this club is unserious or both. Do you know what? It is near the end of the window. We've got 3 days left. United might do something in a panic at the end of the window. The merry-go-round if a good opportunity emerges. But look, this club hasn't been serious for a while. Yeah, I think really we should have pushed for Baleba this January. I think we should have pushed and got that done early. But look, United are waiting to the summer. I get to an extent why they might wait to the summer with the little. I think if we were in the FA Cup and in the Champions League and we were not bringing in a midfielder, I'd say what you expect these 4 midfielders to play 30 games. But I think, as you said, because we literally only got 1 game a week, maybe United won't do anything. But I think we should try. I think we should try and look to see if we can bring someone in. Palace getting Strand Larson for 50 is mad. How on earth did Strand Larson go for 50 million? How on earth did Strand Larson go for 50 million? Someone said we should give Palace a raid, considering they seem to be selling all their players now for Wharton. I mean, it's worth a try, but I don't think we would. Reality's about to kick in for you, Alice. All the fun you've had after the Arsenal win. Hope you enjoy it. Reality's going to kick in, so would that be Arsenal finishing second again? That normally happens. Sorry, we need a midfielder still if we can't rely on these staying fit. Yeah, this is the thing. If those 3 players are guaranteed to be able to stay fit and play every single 90 minutes till the end of the season, those 3 midfielders, it's not the end of the world not signing a midfielder. But 1 injury to Casemiro, and we're a different team. We're a different team. You've seen it when Casemiro's come off for Agate. We lose everything. Maino and Agate does not work like Casemiro and Agate because Casemiro has the defensive discipline and Casemiro is more technically gifted than a guy. Agate's a pressing trigger. So that's what worries me. A Bruno injury, a Casemiro injury, that's the two worst injuries we can get. Baleba is a good option now. No competition for him and he wants to come. That's why I think we should push for Baleba, but we probably won't. We'll have to wait and see. Look, I don't expect anything to happen, but things could happen. Things could happen. And one of the things that's been offered to us, and this is now being reported by Touchline, who I don't think are a good source of information, but there has been reports in Spain saying this. So I'm going to take this with a pinch of salt because I don't think they're a good source of information. But there's talk, and there was talk in Spain about this 2 days ago of a Casado-Rashford swap deal. Barcelona have offered Marc Casado to Manchester United as part of a potential deal to sign Rashford on a permanent. Rashford's current loan agreement with Barcelona includes a €30 million buy option, a fee the club is unwilling to pay, because they're idiots. Instead, Barcelona are exploring alternatives, either negotiating a lower price or including a player such as Casado in the deal. I'd like Fermin Lopez, I'd like Lamine Yamal, I'd like Pedri, I'd like Rafinha, we need a left winger, so if you want to give us any of those players for Rashford, thanks. Marc Casado, I don't know how I feel about Marc Casado because he was really good last season. For the first half of last season, I thought Marc Casado was excellent. When Hansi Flick first came in, Marc Casado, I really liked him. I thought he was really good. He's fallen off a cliff this last year. There's a reason Barca want to get rid of him. I also worry about what he'd do in the Premier League. Like, I'm not against it. I'd rather us go for Marc Casado than not go for anyone at all. But how will he do in the Premier League? I'd rather have the money for Rashford so we can invest that into an Anderson or Baleba. I'm not against Marc Casado. I saw really good signs from him when Hansi Flick first came in. But my fear is, how would he do in the Premier League? Marc Casado is one of those people that you'd almost want on a loan with an option to buy, like a try before you buy kind of player. I think it's such a risk, Marc Casado, that if you could get him on loan with an option, that's when I'd consider it. Why don't Barcelona want to pay 26 million for Rashford? Because they're trying it on because it's Man United. Barca doing the same as Betis with Anthony. Basically, Betis knew that Anthony was going to reject every club for Betis. Anthony rejected like big clubs in Italy for Betis. So Betis knew because they had an agreement with Anthony that was going to reject every club for Betis. As it got near the end of the window, Man United would get fed up and accept one of Betis' ridiculous offers because Anthony kept turning everyone else down and it was Anthony stay or he goes to Betis. Marcus Rashford was going to do the same thing. He's going to reject every club in the world, Bayern Munich, Arsenal, every club in the world, is going to be looking at Rashford for 26 million. He's going to reject all those clubs and say Barcelona, Barcelona, Barcelona. So Barcelona are hoping because Rashford rejects all those clubs, they'll get him for 20 million and not 26 million or 15 million. And this is where Man United have got to say, well, it's fine. If you're not going to pay 26 million, we'll take him back. Even if Rashford doesn't want to come back, there's nothing he can do. We'll take him back. Now, we don't want to take Rashford back because, let's be honest, his head isn't at Manchester United. I'd like Rashford back. I like Rashford. I'd stick him on the left wing. But his head isn't at Man United anymore. So we don't really want him back in that sense. But if you're not going to give us 26 million for Rashford, I'd rather keep him and use him than let Rashford go for 15 million and go spend 60 million on Yan Diamonde that's nowhere near Rashford's level. It would make no sense to me. So we say to Barcelona, if you're not going to give us 26 million for Rashford, we'll take him back. And we take Rashford back, we put him in training, there's a new manager there, Amrin is gone, and watch Barcelona all of a sudden have 26 million. I bet you, if we say to Barcelona, we're happy to take Rashford back, and we stick him in training, and we say we want to keep him, I bet you all of a sudden they'll go from offering 15 million a pack of biscuits to 26 million. They're trying it on. They're absolutely trying it on with Marcus Rashford, Barcelona. Absolutely trying it on. They're doing everything they can not to pay up. The mad thing about Barcelona is they had 50 million ready to drop on Nico Williams. So if you have 50 million for Nico Williams, whose wages are the same as Rashford's, why don't you have 26 million for Rashford when Rashford is twice the player Nico Williams is? Nico Williams has ridiculous PR. I'm going to say this now. Nico Williams PR, Bradley Barcola PR. They aren't better players than Marcus Rashford. They aren't. They've got better PR. PR is a crazy thing in football. It's a crazy thing in football. I mean, some people say Saka's got good PR. I do think Saka's a fantastic, talented player, but I think he's got the same number of goal contributions as Dorgu this season. It's pretty nuts. I don't think Saka's his PR. I think I've watched enough of Saka to know he's a good player. I think he gets away with it a bit more because he's a talented player. And when I'm thinking PR, I'm thinking Nico Williams. I'm thinking Bradley Barcola. Rashford for 26 million is a bargain. Eze is a year younger than Rashford, and Arsenal spent 65 million on Eze to put him on the bench. You're telling me if Eze's going for 60 plus million, Marcus Rashford at 26 million. You can't. I'm sorry, if Eze's 60 plus million, then we should be getting 40 million at least for Marcus Rashford, because I think he's better than Eze. It's ridiculous. 26 million is cheap as F for Rashford. Clubs would pay more. The thing is, I generally believe if Marcus Rashford had a 40 million release clause in the summer and he was willing to be open-minded about his next club and not just focused on Barcelona, I guarantee you, 40 million release clause on Marcus Rashford, you got 4 or 5 clubs looking at that. Like, the fact that they won't pay 26 million is a joke, when we could probably get 40 million if we had a release clause. Take a strong stance and tell Rashford other offers need to be considered, unlike Anthony's situation, yeah. Or we just say, we'll take you back. We'll just take you back. So let's continue on into a few other news stories. Because Manchester United have been linked to a very talented young Club Brugge midfielder. Man United and Tottenham are scouting Club Brugge midfielder Aleksandar Stankovic, but Inter hold the cards through their 23 million option to re-sign him. This guy, not watched much of him, watched the Marseille game. I don't want to hype a player off one game I've watched him playing, because we've seen Andreas Pereira have an unbelievable game in pre-season for Man United, then stink it up. Obviously this was a Champions League game, wasn't a pre-season game, but I watched the Marseille game. Stankovic was incredible. He was incredible, and I haven't seen enough of him to say if he's really amazing, but he was unreal in that game. Now, United and Tottenham are scouting him. He's good on the ball. He seemed quite comfortable on the ball, progressing through the lines. He seems like a nice number 8 profile. We need a top 6, like a Blaber, Anderson. But I think as an 8, he could be a good option. I don't see us doing anything in January. It could be one to watch in the summer, but Inter can call him back. Inter will see how good he's been at Club Brugge. I think Inter will call him back. Unless he doesn't want to go to Inter and Man United show interest in the summer, he could go to the Premier League. He looks good. Good sources are saying we're scouting him. Matteo Moretti was a good source. This is a good source coming out saying United are looking at him. United are looking at him. He's an option for the summer. I like what I've seen. I don't think this will be a January deal. I don't think we'll move him in January. But, I was very impressed from that Champions League game. I was very impressed. Honestly. But I've only watched him play once, so I can't really say too much about a player that I've watched play once this season. In terms of his statistics, he got in his last 3 games, he got a goal versus Carrot. He got a brace versus Jupiler Pro League versus Salta Waregem. I probably said that wrong. And then he got a goal and 2 assists in the Champions League versus Marseille. He did look unreal in that Marseille game. That's the only game I've watched. But I think he'll go back to Inter. But it could be one to watch. It's probably a name to watch. But I think he'll go back to Inter. United should look at Schneider, who plays for Benfica, 21-year-old left winger who demolished Real Madrid. He was very good in that game, wasn't he? I saw a lot of people talking about him. A lot of Spurs fans are talking about him at the moment, actually. I'd have to watch more of him, but I've seen a lot of Spurs fans mention that name as well. Good player. I want to talk about a few other news stories. So, Tyrone Malacia is attracting interest from the Serie A and Turkish clubs. A move to LMLS is a concrete option, but no agreement has been reached. If I'm Malacia, I just agree to a move. Like, I know he's waiting to see if he can get the perfect club and the perfect wages. I just agree to a move at this point. I'd just say, you know what, I'm not playing football, I want to play football. I'd just agree to a move. It's a shame what happened with Tyrone Malacia because he had a very good and promising first season with us. And that injury that he was out for nearly 2 years has kind of ruined his career. It has kind of ruined his career a bit because, look, I don't know if Tyrone Malacia was ever going to be Man United level, but he was really good in the Arsenal game, the Liverpool game, the Barcelona game in his first season for us. For me, he was a Premier League level footballer, and I think the injuries has knocked his confidence, knocked his ability. I think for me, I feel a bit sorry for Tyrone Malacia, and I just want him to get his career back on track because there's definitely a decent player there. Alice, would you swap Rashford for Casado? Ideally, I'd rather have the money for Rashford and invest that money into better options, but I'm not against Casado. The thing with Casado is I'd want to see him in the Premier League first before spending money on him. Left back, we have lots of young options at least. We really need right back depth. We've got Delo and Mazraoui at right back. At left back, we've got Dorgu, Shaw, and then we've got Leon and Harry Amos coming through. We're going to talk about Diego Leon in a second, and I think Malacia needs to go for himself. I really hope Malacia gets a good move. Man United should let Malacia go on a free. so we can get a new club in January. He's leaving on a free in the summer, do him a favour. I think that's what we will do. We let Donny van der Beek go for practically a pack of biscuits. I think we've got let Donny van der Beek go for 400k. So I think Man United will just let Malacia go for like 300, 400k just to like let him out. I think Malacia just needs to be set free. I feel for the guy. He's had injuries. I think there's a good player in there, and I think injuries has really affected him. We need the PSR for Rashford. I mean, pure profit. That's the thing as well. If you get 26 million for Rashford, that is pure profit. And if we spread that across 4 years, you could go and sign a £100 million player across 4 years with the 26 million pure profit you make off Rashford, which is nuts how it works. It's a pity because Donny actually started to look all right for a bit and then he got injured, but Donny never really got a chance. But Malacia had a really promising first season, and then, yeah, injuries, everything. I wanted to talk about Diego Leon because there's a feeling he could get opportunities. Man United doesn't know what to do at fullback at the moment. On the left, the club feels Diego Leon's development is ahead of track, and they don't want to stifle his pathway. We've got Luke Shaw, who's going to leave the club on a free in 2027. We've got Dorgu, who we haven't figured out if he's going to be a left-back or a left-winger for us. We've got Harry Amos that's doing incredibly well on loan. And then we've got Diego Leon that's incredibly good for his age. So United are looking at left-backs, but they're also like, well, we've got Amos and we've got Diego Leon on top of Dorgu and Shaw. Do we need a left-back right now? Or do we go out and put money elsewhere and, go, you know what, we've got enough cover here? For me, the priority has to be 2 top-level midfielders, a left winger, a third midfielder for depth, and then depending on if Maguire goes to centre-back, if Maguire doesn't go, we look at left-back. But for me, it's got to be 2 top midfielders and a left winger, and then we look at other positions. Because worst-case scenario, Delo can play at left-back, Dorgu can play at left-back, Shaw can play at left-back, Leach can play at left-back. For me, 2 top midfielders, left winger, cheaper third midfielder for depth to replace Agate, centre-back. And I don't think we necessarily need a left-back, but I'm open to it. Like, a Nathaniel Brown is a Nuno Mendes regen. If Man United went out and got Nathaniel Brown, I'm going to be like, damn, okay, good business. But I don't want to be spending 50 million on a left-back. I don't want to be spending, like, Mazraoui being 14 million. If we can find a left-back that's as good as Mazraoui for 14 million, I'd be all over that. In regards to Dorgu, it was actually said by Samuel Luckhurst that United sources hope that Dorgu will return sooner than the 10-week projection. They also maintain that just because Dorgu's injured doesn't mean they will change their transfer plan. So despite Dorgu being injured, Man United are saying they don't want to change their transfer plans. And they're hoping he's back in less than 10 weeks. I really do apologise that I've got a cold and you can probably tell in my voice. But yeah, I look at right back before left back personally. I want to sell Delo. Sell Delo, replace Delo. Makes more sense. Hope Mazraoui gets some minutes. Delo, always automatic starter, needs to stop. I think in a back 4, Mazraoui's the better at right back. I think Mazraoui's just got back from AFCON. Delo's had more time in training. I think Delo will eventually lose his place to Mazraoui, but it might take a couple of games. Seriously, how are we able to talk about players when we haven't got a manager sorted? Because it's a head coach model. People keep saying, oh, Amarin laid the foundations for Carrick to succeed, which is nuts because it's like, well, Amarin wanted Martinez, Amarin wanted Watkins. The signings we made, Amarin did want them, but the signings we made, we probably would have made even if Amarin wasn't the manager, because it's a head coach thing right now. It's the way things are at Man United is they're bringing in players and then the guy they're bringing in isn't a manager, he's a head coach. So Man United should be able to sign someone in January because the person they want to bring in is a head coach, not a manager anyway. So people saying we can't do transfer business because we haven't got a permanent manager. We keep talking about the model Ineos want is that they do the recruitment and they get a coach to work with that. Ineos did the recruitment this summer. Ruben Amorim had a say, but Ruben Amorim had a very small say in recruitment compared to Ten Hag. So, Ineos do the recruitment, they bring in a manager to work with that. If Ineos brought in Baleba in January, I think any manager wants to work with that. If a manager doesn't want to work with that, we shouldn't bring them in. That's how I see it. But anyway, I hope you guys are all doing good. I'm going to wrap up the live stream here because I could barely talk. Like, I've just got a cold and I feel so ill. But Man United can do business in January. It doesn't matter that we don't have a manager. We can sign a midfielder. The new manager is going to need a midfielder anyway. It's a head coach model. Big up everyone for watching. See you next time. Bye.